And Blake actually cast herself as the female lead, which a year ago had already pissed a lot of people off because they thought that she was too old for the role, that she wasn't right for the role. But hey, you know what? It's her movie, it's her money. However, it really wasn't her movie from the start.
Blake Lively, Hollywood's golden girl, right? Well, not anymore. Her pristine public image has come crashing down, revealing a dark, ruthless side that's so toxic, even her own family wants nothing to do with her. And the fallout? Oh, it's the latest scandal-shaking Tinseltown. She's desperate to salvage her reputation. But the truth is, she thought she could outsmart everyone, even her family. For years, she's been the picture of perfection. The stunning actress with impeccable style, a charming presence on talk shows, and the seemingly flawless marriage to Ryan Reynolds. But guess what? It was all just a carefully crafted illusion, and now the cracks are showing. Prepare for the ugly truth behind the star who couldn't keep up the act any longer. She looked like she had it all, didn't she? Endorsement deals, magazine covers, high-profile friendships, and that perfect, carefully curated public image that screamed warmth and relatability. But, as we know, in the savage world of Hollywood, a pristine reputation is anything but a guarantee. Now, that carefully crafted image has come crumbling down, and it's all centered around a messy clash with actor and filmmaker Justin Baldoni, and not just him, but his entire close-knit family, led by his father, Sam. What started as a quiet legal squabble has blown up into a full-on spectacle, exposing the fractured underbelly of Hollywood and a star who might have bitten off more than she could chew. For months, the brewing tension between Blake Lively and Justin Baldoni was nothing more than whispers in the industry. Rumors swirled about their souring relationship on set, creative differences, Blake reportedly pushing for script changes, while Justin tried to stick to his directorial vision.
So essentially, in her complaint, she said things like he walked in on her breastfeeding. She said things like he chastised her for her weight. All of this has been debunked by the text messages provided by Baldoni.
At first, it seemed like a typical Hollywood squabble, until the tension spilled into the public eye. Whispers turned into full-blown gossip. Blake was seen as controlling and forceful, while Justin was painted as the easygoing guy, quietly seething under the weight of her micromanagement. But it wasn't until the legal documents were made public that fans realized this was far more than a petty feud. Blake accused Justin of inappropriate behavior, and Justin's camp fired back, claiming Blake was using underhanded tactics to push him out of his own project. It's safe to say, things are about to get a lot uglier. The media, ever hungry for a whiff of star-studded drama, dove in headfirst. Tabloid headlines had a field day, hinting that Blake Lively was pushing for new producers, new directors, and even a full rewrite of the storyline, effectively sidelining Justin Baldoni from a project he had nurtured from the ground up. At first, most fans shrugged it off as typical Hollywood back and forth. Little did they know, a storm was quietly brewing in the background. Then came the moment that flipped the whole narrative. Enter Sam Baldoni, Justin's father. Until then, a virtually unknown figure to most. While many Hollywood parents prefer to stay out of the spotlight, Sam had clearly reached his breaking point when he saw how the media was spinning the story in Blake's favor. Instead of going the traditional route, launching a dramatic press conference or issuing some corporate-sounding press release, Sam took a more personal, modern approach. He went straight to social media, using short-form video platforms to deliver a precision strike on Blake's credibility. The video he posted was simple, yet devastating. It showed a bulletin board covered in glowing words describing Justin's character: compassionate, focused, respectful, generous. A touching fatherly endorsement, sure. But then came the kicker. In a world full of Blakes and Ryans, be a Justin. No names were dropped, but the message was crystal clear. Sam had just fired a shot straight at Blake and Ryan, wrapped in just enough ambiguity to send the internet into a frenzy. Within hours, the video was everywhere. Thousands of retweets, TikTok stitches, and heated Twitter debates erupted as the post dominated feeds and turned the tables on the entire narrative. It was a masterclass in social media warfare, and the consequences were immediate. For Blake Lively, this was a gut punch she didn't see coming. She and Ryan Reynolds had carefully cultivated the image of Hollywood's golden couple. Fans loved their playful social media banter, their appearances at charity galas, and their reputation as the stable, loving duo in an industry overflowing with scandal. For Sam Baldoni to subtly call them out, even without directly naming them, was like watching the carefully polished illusion they'd spent years building come crashing down. Hollywood, for all its glitz and glamour, is a small world. Directors, actors, producers, and financiers all operate in overlapping social circles, and reputations are everything. Once Sam's post took off, it felt like the entire industry was quietly picking sides, or at the very least, waiting to see who would come out on top. For a brief moment, Lively tried to hold on to her sweet, perfect persona. She kept posting curated Instagram shots of family moments, designer outfits, and sneak peeks at her latest business ventures. But this time, the audience wasn't as easily fooled. Comment sections started to flood with references to Sam's post, calling her out for hypocrisy and demanding she address the growing pile of allegations. Lively's team scrambled to contain the damage, but the problem? A single father's social media jab had taken on a life of its own, far beyond their control. Just as Blake attempted to regroup, The Hollywood Reporter, a heavyweight in the industry, dropped a bombshell on her image. And this wasn't just any story. It was a carefully timed, career-shaking exposé that could turn everything she had left upside down. On February 21st, The Hollywood Reporter dropped a bombshell. Its cover featured a cartoon caricature of Blake Lively, gleefully launching a phone via slingshot at Justin Baldoni. The image was a direct jab at her legal team's obsessive focus on subpoenaing his text messages. That's when the entire industry realized the tide was turning. Normally, A-list stars are shielded from this kind of mockery by top-tier outlets. But if The Hollywood Reporter was willing to lampoon Lively so brazenly, it signaled that the power players in Hollywood were either over her narrative or simply no longer afraid of the blowback. Suddenly, Blake was in full damage control mode. She swiftly fired back, calling the magazine's depiction outrageously insulting and accusing them of belittling serious claims of inappropriate behavior. Normally, counterattacks like this work in Hollywood, where top celebrities have entire PR armies dedicated to spinning the narrative. But this time, the public's response was nothing short of a resounding shrug. It was as if the court of public opinion had already decided her credibility was shaky enough to start questioning everything she said. At the core of the skepticism, a glaring mismatch between Blake's accusations against Justin and the mounting evidence that seemed to contradict them at every turn. And just like that, her once unshakable image was starting to crack wide open. With each new piece of information that surfaced, screenshots, behind-the-scenes anecdotes, text messages, Blake Lively's story seemed to grow increasingly less cohesive. The Hollywood Reporter's bold move was just the cherry on top of a growing consensus. Blake was no longer America's sweetheart. What people once believed without question was now under intense scrutiny. Social media detectives, those formidable digital sleuths, began to dig deep into Lively's past interviews and behind-the-scenes stories. And what they uncovered sent shockwaves across Twitter. One bombshell revelation involved a claim from Blake that Justin Baldoni had invaded her privacy while she was breastfeeding. A serious accusation, implying a blatant violation of personal boundaries. But just when it seemed like Blake had the upper hand, Justin's camp dropped a bomb of their own. A series of damning text messages. In them, Blake had explicitly invited Justin to rehearse lines with her, casually mentioning that she was breastfeeding, but also stating it was no big deal. These texts, once leaked, were the turning point. Many of those who had rallied behind Blake earlier now felt betrayed. What was once an assumption that something untoward had happened quickly morphed into a cold, uncomfortable suspicion. Maybe she was making it all up. Make sure to subscribe for all the latest updates on this unfolding drama. And don't forget to comment below.